Good morning, and I would like to start by thanking the Delhi Orthopaedic Association, the Indian Journal of Orthopedics, and the JCOT for inviting me onto this forum once again. I'll be speaking to you about illustrations or the visual elements of your display in your paper. These visual elements, as I would like to call them, are a snapshot of the research that you are presenting. They present the salient findings for ready reference. They are a clear and precise elucidation of your results, and they are an understandable presentation of sizable numerical and statistical data which you may not be able to represent so well in the text, and helps to actually complement the text. It's an extremely useful tool for editors, reviewers, and readers for the first glance to understand the relevance of the manuscript and the relevance of your research. So why do we need illustrations? We depict complex relationships, statistics. We demonstrate clinical examples, surgical techniques, representative success and results. I'll give you some examples of these through some of the papers we have published. We tend to describe certain design concepts and diagrams, workflow illustrations, and very importantly, to describe a research protocol, such as systematic reviews, meta-analysis in randomized controlled trials and in other studies. It's a single point of reference where we understand how the research has been conducted. So what can you use? You can use tables, you can use figures, and you can use data in other forms. So we use a table mainly for precise numerical values and other specific data. I think Srinivas has already covered it. We use figures to show trends, patterns, and relationships across and between data sets, to summarize research results, and a visual explanation of a sequence of events. Text is only when you don't have extensive or complicated data to present. And when you put your data into a table and you have only two or less than two columns, then you prefer to use text. So depending on what you want to present, you have to choose your visual element. So consider the following questions, and this is from the author and review tutorials on Springer. Are there any data that readers might rather see as a display item? Do your figures supplement the text without repetition? You don't want to write about it as well as put it on a table. That is unnecessary repetition, but there should be a complementary way of using both of them. Have you put data into a table that could be better explained in the text, such as simple statistics or p-values? So just ask yourself a few questions before you decide what are the visual elements you want to put into your paper. Tables have been covered already by Srinivas. I would just like to, just summarize over here that be careful about your legend and caption. They should be clear and concise. Divide them into categories. Give sufficient spacing between the columns and rows. Don't forget the units, and give, good legible font type and size. So this is an example from a paper that we published sometime last year on shoulder function assessment. So this shows a very nicely represented table where you can see the precision and the recall with respect to the different motions. It is a single point of reference which we can use. And it also gives an idea of how useful the system can be. The first table in that very same paper actually estimated the range of motion accuracy using different methods. And it talks about flexion, abduction, extension at different degrees at which we measured it, what were the error in degrees of that, and what the root mean square error. So this is the way that I would like a table to be represented when a research is presented to me. So what are the different types of figures you can use? You can use images, data plots, maps, schematics, and all should be like a table with a clear and concise legend and caption to accompany them and linking them to the paper. Now, images typically help the readers visualize the information that you are trying to convey. And it's very necessary for the accuracy of a scientific manuscript. So include scale bars, label important items, indicate the meanings of different colors and symbols used, give a suitable description and link to the text, and ensure good contrast in the colors in the images that are drawn. So don't use colors which are not contrasting very well. It doesn't help. For X-ray images, especially, most of the journals will allow you to, upload them in a sequence, but you must ensure correct sequence, clarity, and labeling. Data plots are relatively more difficult to read. Many of us just skip them, but they are used to show functional or statistical relationship between two or more items. So here, individual data points are often emitted. You don't need to give the values for individual data point, but then you show them across the axis and depict the relationship. So label the axis, specify units for quantities, label the curves and data sets, and use a legible font size. Now, from the same paper, I'm showing you an illustration of Bland-Altman plots for the angles measured for goniometer against a smartwatch. So this helps me to understand the distribution of the values across the lines which have been labeled. Now let's forget about what this means, but see the way that this has been depicted with labeling of the axes and the lines within the plot itself. And there is a clear description in very legible font. So this is what I want to convey here. So you have a caption, you have legible font, you have clear labels, and this is all that is essential for most data plots. Schematics help identify the key parts to a system or process. Now they should highlight only the key element. We don't try to put too many things there, make them extremely complicated. When you do that, you end up cluttering your image, and your reader might simply skip it. And so the value that you want from the schematic will not be there. So it not only includes the drawings that the author chooses, offering a degree of flexibility, which is not there in an image. So a schematic is good. For schematics, again, label and give complementary explanations in the caption as well as in the main text. Flow diagrams are very common illustrations that we use to illustrate the flow of a procedure, a diagnostic test, or a research procedure. It's also important to illustrate research protocols. A well-constructed flow diagram will speak more than the entire materials and methods put together. And it is very essential part of the paper. We would not accept a paper which is an RCT, interventional study, or a systematic review without a flow diagram. Now here is an example of a schematic on the left from the very same paper. I'm picking it up, where there's a schematic of how data is collected from a wrist wearable, transferred through an intermediate sensor log to a cloud, and there is a process of analysis of this whole thing during the process of detecting that particular motion of the shoulder. A flow chart here is describing the algorithm flow, which describes exactly how the signals are processed, and one gets a classification of that particular motion. So this is the way that one can use a schematic or a flow chart or a table and a data plot within the same paper to bring values to that paper. Avoid manipulating images. Now there is this something that everybody will talk about. Do not adjust brightness or contrast. Do not crop out unnecessary parts. Sometimes you crop out necessary parts, and you do not crop out the name of the patient. So be careful when you are cropping your images. Relevant parts should be left behind. Irrelevant parts should be removed out. And there should be some kind of consistency across the whole thing. And you keep the original with you. If asked for, you should be able to provide it. Don't recolor images. Don't change the orientation of the images in such a way that they become undecipherable. Right to left, left to right. Keep the orientation right, the way that we normally do in clinical practice. Remove patient identifiers, please. In all clinical data, in all X-ray images, CT images, there should be no patient identifiers. This is something that a lot of us just completely forget to do. Now here is an example of an illustration that talks about the evolution of artificial intelligence. Now, it's such a simple diagram which tells you how AI has moved from reactive machine and will move to self-aware machine. Then what are the typical characteristics of each of these? So this is a kind of diagram which generally tends to grab attention and helps you understand without actually need to refer to the text. An example of a flow diagram in robotics. So this tends to describe what is common in the flow in navigation and what is different in robotics, and helps the reader understand as to what are the specific steps which are there. Well, this may not be all inclusive, but tends to be a good reference to how robotics brings value. Now, this is an example of how you can use a collage of images to describe a surgical flow. Here, in this case, it are the different steps of robotic surgery in total knee arthroplasty. So these complement the text and help the reader understand the text better. Another paper from where I'm picking up a variety of illustrations to help you understand how to use your visual elements. On the left is a schematic. This is a paper on simulation of a single leg drop jump activity and using a neuromuscular controller to predict the muscle co-activation. So on the left, you are finding a schematic which shows an OpenSim model on which a single leg drop jump activity is being simulated. And if you look at it, there is an inset which shows the specific positioning of the ligaments and muscles, because that is not very clear in the whole body figure. So this schematic is a good ready reference to the main text. Now, if you look at the table, it describes individual muscles. It shows the activation parameters very clearly. Again, complementary to the main text. A bar chart shows variation in muscle activation. So you can understand if you look at the name of the muscle as well as the height of the bar chart as to the extent of activation that has occurred using the drop jump activity. And again, a flow chart at the bottom, which shows the predict adapt model to predict and adapt to injury conditions. So a variety of illustrations have been used over here, and these all complement the main text and add to the value of the main text. This is an example of using a bar chart here for showing the distribution of data in a data set. So this was a paper on sepsis prediction on a challenge data set, and on the right is a flow chart which shows the way that this algorithm works and how the data has been used to predict sepsis in a given data set. So again, the use of the appropriate illustrations is what makes the paper better. Now, this is another way, an example more towards orthopedics here, where we had published a surgical technique for biological plating of subtrochanteric fracture. This was a pretty old paper back in 2002, but it's a classic example of how we had provided line drawings to the journal, and the journal had then adapted the line drawings to illustrate step by step the surgical technique in using a 95-degree DCS for biological plating of a subtrochanteric fracture. So this is an example of surgical steps being illustrated with appropriate diagrams, appropriate legends, clear and concise. And look at the way that the X-ray images have been depicted. There's a pre-op, there's the immediate post-op, and there is a picture of union with an appropriate legend saying figures 7A to 7C and the details of the figures. So this is how we expect you to actually, label your figures. Now, these are just examples to give you an idea of how you should be thinking, and you should start thinking at the very start of your paper how you're going to be doing this. And as you build up your paper, you put in the appropriate illustrations and the appropriate figures, the appropriate schematics, the appropriate tables, and thus make your paper good. Thank you for your time and attention.